My parents secretly sold my car to pay for my sister's lavish wedding. Now she's refusing to even invite me to it. My parents decided to sell my car without my knowledge to help pay for my sister's wedding. Now, she won't even invite me. Hello, everyone. Today's narrative is truly astounding, but if you appreciate this kind of content, please consider subscribing. The channel has been a bit quiet lately, and your support really helps keep things going. Let's get into it. I, a 28-year-old male, need to share this experience because I'm still processing events from 3 weeks ago. I returned from a month-long business trip to find my garage completely empty. My 1967 Mustang Fastback, a car I had devoted for years and $35,000 to restoring, was gone. For some background, this wasn't just any vehicle. I acquired it as a rusted shell at 24, right after my first promotion at the engineering firm where I'm employed. It had been my grandfather's dream car, and he had promised to assist me in restoring one before his unexpected passing. Every weekend for 4 years, I worked on that car. I learned bodywork, engine rebuilding, upholstery, everything. It wasn't merely a mode of transport. It was my bond with my grandfather, and proof that I could achieve something significant with my own hands. I kept the car at my parents' residence because my apartment complex does not permit classic car storage, and my parents had offered their garage years ago. They were fully aware of what that car signified to me. They had observed me sanding every panel, rebuilding the engine twice, and tracking down original parts from junkyards across 3 states. When I completed the restoration last year, my father even became emotional seeing it operate for the first time. So, you can imagine my astonishment upon entering an empty garage. My initial thought was theft. I immediately called my parents, panic in my voice, asking if they had noticed anyone suspicious near the house. That's when my mother delivered the shocker. Oh, dear, we sold it. We needed the funds for Amanda's wedding. Amanda is my 26-year-old sister, and apparently, she had been planning her elaborate wedding for the past 8 months, a $45,000 event featuring a destination venue, a designer dress, and all the picture-perfect details she had been fixated on since her engagement. The issue was her fiancé, Tyler, works in retail management, and she's a part-time yoga instructor. They had managed to save perhaps $8,000 between them. My parents had pledged to assist with the wedding expenses, but when the bills began accumulating, they realized they had overcommit. Instead of suggesting Amanda reduce her plans, they chose to resolve the problem by selling my car without asking me, without even informing me. We received $32,000 for it, my mother stated, as if relaying good news. The buyer mentioned it was in excellent condition. You should be proud. I was speechless, then enraged, then utterly heartbroken. I questioned how they could possibly deem this acceptable, and my father became defensive. It's just a car, Michael. It was sitting there, not being used, while your sister requires assistance in beginning her new life. Family comes first. Just a car? 4 years of my life, every weekend, every spare dollar, my connection to my grandfather. Just a car? I demanded they retrieve it immediately. They claimed they had already spent the money on wedding deposits and could not return it. When I threatened legal action, my father's response was, "Go ahead, take your own parents to court over a car. See how that looks." My sister's reaction was somehow worse. When I confronted her directly, she actually rolled her eyes. "I cannot believe you're being so dramatic about this. It's not like you were driving it every day. At least now it's serving a purpose instead of just sitting there collecting dust." I pointed out that I had been driving it every weekend to car shows on dates whenever I wanted to feel close to my grandfather. She dismissed this entirely. "You can always get another car. I can only have one wedding day." The sense of entitlement was astonishing. She genuinely believed her wedding held more importance than something I had dedicated years to building. She even suggested I should be pleased my hobby was contributing to such a significant occasion. I departed that conversation knowing I had lost more than a car. I had lost respect for individuals I believed I knew. The most difficult part is how the family has unified around this decision. My aunt called to tell me I was being selfish and that family members make sacrifices for each other. My uncle suggested I gain perspective because a wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Even my grandmother, who understood how much that car meant to me and my grandfather's memory, said I should move past this and be happy for Amanda. No one seems to grasp that this was not their decision to make. It was my property, stored at their house as a favor. They had no legal or moral authority to sell it, regardless of their financial difficulties or my sister's wedding aspirations. I have consulted with a lawyer, and while I could potentially pursue this legally, it would cost more than the car was worth and would irrevocably damage what remains of my family relationships. I am caught between accepting this profound breach of trust or becoming the family outcast who sued his own parents. Right now, I am not speaking to any of them. I declined to be in the wedding party when Amanda asked, or rather, demanded, last week. She's been telling everyone I am experiencing a breakdown over just a car and ruining her special day with my negativity. I keep thinking about my grandfather, How proud he would have been to see that Mustang fully restored, how he would have reacted to his family selling his grandson's tribute to him to finance a celebration. I believe he would have been ashamed. Has anyone else encountered family members who believe they can make significant decisions about your possessions without consent? How do you move forward when the very people who should support you are the ones who have betrayed you? To summarize, my parents sold my restored classic car without permission to fund my sister's wedding. My family believes I should be grateful to contribute to her special day. I feel completely betrayed and am uncertain how to proceed. Update 1. Posted 6 weeks ago. I cannot believe I am revisiting this, but the situation has somehow worsened. After my initial post, I decided to maintain low contact with my family while I processed everything. I thought perhaps some distance would help them realize how poorly they had handled this situation. I was mistaken. Last weekend, Amanda called me directly. She had been receiving inquiries from extended family about my lack of involvement in wedding planning, and she was tired of inventing excuses for my attitude. She desired to clear the air so we could move forward as a family. The conversation began civilly enough, but quickly deteriorated when I explained that I was still hurt about the car situation and required more time. Her response completely floored me. Michael, I need you to get over this car thing. You're being incredibly selfish, and it's affecting my wedding planning. Do you know how stressful it is to plan a wedding when your own brother is throwing a tantrum over something so trivial? Trivial? My 4-year restoration project? My $35,000 investment? My connection to our grandfather? Trivial? I attempted to explain once more what that car meant to me, how much effort I had invested in it, how violated I felt that they had sold it without even asking. Her response will forever be etched in my memory. You know what, Michael? Maybe you deserve to lose that car. You're 28 years old, single, spending every weekend playing with car parts instead of finding someone to settle down with. At least now that money is going towards something meaningful, my future, my marriage, my life moving forward. I deserved a perfect wedding more than you deserved an old car sitting in a garage. The audacity was breathtaking. She actually asserted, I deserve to have my property stolen because I'm single. And she deemed her wedding more important than my interests. The entitlement, the complete absence of empathy. I don't even recognize this person as my sister anymore. I told her that her wedding was not my responsibility and that stealing my car did not make her dreams more valid than mine. She began to cry, not tears of sadness, but of anger, and accused me of attempting to ruin the happiest time of her life. Fine, she said through tears. If you can't be happy for me, if you're going to keep punishing me for something mom and dad did, then maybe you shouldn't be at my wedding at all. I don't need negative energy on my special day. I told her that was probably for the best, given how she truly felt about me. She hung up on me. 2 days later, I received a text from my mother. Amanda is very upset. She's uninvited you from the wedding. I hope you're happy with yourself. You've ruined your sister's special day over a car. The victim blaming is astonishing. I'm somehow accountable for ruining her wedding, not the people who stole my property to fund it. I'm the negative one, not the sister who told me I deserve to be robbed because I'm single. The family group chat has been active without me. My cousin accidentally sent me a screenshot showing messages about how I'm having a breakdown and being unreasonable. Apparently, the narrative is that I'm mentally unstable and lashing out at everyone because I can't handle Amanda's happiness. My father called yesterday to try one more time to make peace. He offered to pay me $10,000 as compensation for the car, provided I apologized to Amanda and attended the wedding. When I pointed out that the car sold for $32,000 and inquired where the other $22,000 would come from, he said I was being greedy and that $10,000 was more than fair for a hobby car. A hobby car? For years of weekend work, learning skills, connecting with my grandfather's memory? A hobby car? I declined his offer and informed him I would not be attending any family events until they acknowledged what they had done wrong and rectified the situation. His response, then I guess you won't be attending anything for a long time. We're not going to let you hold this family hostage over your pride. The gaslighting is exhausting. They've convinced themselves and everyone else that I'm the problem, that I'm choosing a car over family, that I'm being dramatic and unreasonable. They can't seem to grasp that this was never about the car itself. It was about trust, respect, and fundamental human decency. My sister is getting married in 3 weeks. I won't be there. The car I spent 4 years restoring paid for her dress, her flowers, her photographer. She'll walk down the aisle in a gown purchased with my stolen property while telling people her brother chose a car over her happiness. I've started therapy to process all of this. My therapist confirms what I already knew, that this is about much more than a car. It's about a family dynamic where my sister's desires have always outweighed everyone else's needs, where my parents enabled her entitlement, and where I was expected to sacrifice for her dreams without question. I'm working on accepting that this might be permanent, that my family might never acknowledge their wrongdoing, that I might have to rebuild my life without the people I thought would always support me. It's lonely, but it's preferable to being around people who think so little of me. To summarize, my sister told me I deserve to lose the car because I'm single and her wedding was more important than my hobby. She uninvited me from the wedding I unknowingly funded. My family believes I'm mentally unstable for not getting over it. Update 2, posted 1 month ago. The wedding occurred 2 weeks ago. I wasn't present, obviously, but the aftermath has been interesting. First, the wedding itself was reportedly beautiful. My social media feeds were filled with photos from family members who attended. Amanda looked stunning in her $3,000 dress, paid for with my car money. The venue was gorgeous. The flowers were perfect. The photographer captured everything beautifully. By all accounts, she achieved the picture-perfect wedding she envisioned. But here's where it becomes complicated. Remember how my parents promised Amanda they would cover the wedding costs? Selling my car only accounted for about 70% of the total bill. They had assumed they could manage the remaining expenses, but they miscalculated severely. 3 days after the wedding, my father called me, not to apologize or inquire about my well-being, but to ask if I could lend them $8,000 to cover the remaining wedding debt. The audacity was stunning. They stole my property to fund a wedding they couldn't afford, and now they wanted me to voluntarily pay for the privilege of having been robbed. I actually laughed out loud. I told him that was absolutely not going to happen and asked if he was seriously requesting the son they had stolen from to bail them out financially. His response: "It's for Amanda. She's your sister. The wedding expenses put us in a tight spot, and we just need help getting back on our feet." I reminded him that they had put themselves in this position by selling my car without permission to finance a wedding beyond their means. I suggested they obtain a loan or ask Amanda and Tyler for assistance, since it was their wedding debt. We can't ask the newlyweds to worry about money right now. They're starting their new life together. But apparently asking me to fund their poor financial planning was perfectly reasonable. I declined and instructed him not to contact me again unless it was to rectify the situation regarding my car. He became angry, called me vindictive and cruel, and hung up on me. Here's where the story takes an interesting turn. My cousin Jennifer, who has always remained neutral in family drama, contacted me privately. She had been at the wedding and wished to share something that had bothered her. During the reception, someone asked Amanda about my absence. Instead of providing a vague answer, she launched into a detailed explanation about how I was mentally unstable and obsessed with material possessions and couldn't handle her happiness. She told everyone I had threatened to sue our parents over an old car and was holding the family hostage because I couldn't accept that her wedding was more important than my hobby. But here's the crucial detail. She also boasted about the car, discussed how much it sold for, how it was perfectly restored, how the buyer couldn't believe its condition. She was simultaneously ridiculing me for caring about it while bragging about its value and quality. Jennifer said it was deeply uncomfortable to witness. "She can't have it both ways," Jennifer told me. "Either it was a worthless old car you shouldn't care about, or it was a valuable, beautifully restored classic worth bragging about." She was contradicting herself in the same conversation. Several family members apparently noticed this inconsistency. Some began asking more questions about what exactly had occurred with the car. When they learned that my parents had sold it without my knowledge or consent while I was away on business, some people's perspectives began to shift. My uncle Robert, who had initially advised me to gain perspective, called me a few days after the wedding. He had been reflecting on the situation and realized how he would feel if someone sold his workshop tools without asking to fund someone else's event. He apologized for minimizing my feelings and stated that what my parents did was wrong. More family members have reached out since then, not all of them, but enough to make me realize the unanimous support for Amanda's wedding isn't as solid as my parents believed. Meanwhile, the financial pressure on my parents is intensifying. They're struggling with the remaining wedding debt, and the relationship with Amanda and Tyler is becoming strained now that the wedding stress has shifted to payment stress. Amanda apparently assumed the money issue was resolved and has been pressuring them to assist with other newlywed expenses: furniture for their apartment, a honeymoon they wish to take next year, a down payment for a house. She's surprised that they cannot continue funding her lifestyle. Tyler has been complaining to anyone who will listen about how broke they are after the wedding and how his in-laws promised to help them get started, but are now retracting their commitments. He's apparently unaware that those commitments were financed by stolen property. My therapist has been helping me process all of this. She highlighted something interesting. My family's financial struggles are natural consequences of their choices. They chose to make promises they couldn't keep, chose to steal my property rather than have honest conversations about budget limitations, and chose to enable Amanda's unrealistic expectations rather than teach her to live within her means. I didn't cause these problems. I'm not responsible for solving them. My only responsibility is to shield myself from further manipulation and abuse. I've started rebuilding my life without them. I'm seeking a new place to live, somewhere with a garage where I can begin another restoration project. I've joined a local classic car club where people understand what it means to pour your heart into a project. I'm dating someone new who finds my mechanical skills impressive rather than a waste of time. It's been 3 months since they sold my car, and they still haven't acknowledged any wrongdoing. They're still waiting for me to apologize and come to my senses. They still believe I'm choosing a car over family. They're right in a way. I am choosing, but I'm choosing self-respect over being exploited. I'm choosing honesty over manipulation. I'm choosing a future where my property, feelings, and boundaries are respected. The car is gone forever, but my dignity does not have to be. To summarize, my parents cannot afford the remaining wedding debt and asked me to lend them money. Amanda bragged about my perfectly restored car at her wedding while calling me mentally unstable for caring about it. Some family members are starting to discern the true narrative. I'm building a new life without people who disrespect me. Final update, posted 3 days ago. It's been 3 months since my original post, and I never anticipated returning here with this kind of update. But life has a way of delivering justice when you least expect it. 2 weeks ago, I was at a classic car show about an hour from home. I attend these events now as part of rebuilding my life and connecting with individuals who understand automotive passion. I was admiring a pristine 1969 Camaro when I heard a familiar rumble behind me. I turned around, and there it was, my Mustang. My heart stopped. 4 years of weekends, $35,000, countless hours of labor, my connection to my grandfather, sitting in a show lineup with someone else's name on the registration card. The current owner, a man named Robert in his 60s, was standing beside it, clearly proud. I approached him and complimented the car, not immediately revealing my connection to it. He lit up and began telling me about his recent acquisition. Bought it a few months ago from a family who needed quick cash, he said. They claimed it belonged to their son, but he was apparently some kind of problem gambler who owed money to dangerous people. They had to sell it fast to keep him safe. My blood ran cold. They had lied to the buyer, fabricated an entire fictional narrative about me being in debt to dangerous criminals to justify the quick sale, and likely secure a better price by making it seem urgent. Asked more questions carefully. Robert showed me the bill of sale my parents had signed as the legal owners, asserting they were selling it on behalf of their troubled son, who couldn't be present due to safety concerns. They had committed fraud. I took pictures of everything and obtained Robert's contact information. He was understandably suspicious when I explained who I truly was, but the photos on my phone of the restoration process convinced him. When he realized he had unknowingly purchased stolen property, he was horrified. I'm a retired mechanic, he told me. I know how much work went into this car. If someone stole 4 years of my labor, I'd want justice too. We exchanged information, and I immediately contacted my lawyer. With a fraudulent bill of sale and Robert's willingness to cooperate, we now had grounds for both criminal charges and civil action. The legal process moved swiftly. My parents were arrested for theft, fraud, and forgery. The local newspaper covered the story because classic car theft rings are a concern in our area, and the human interest angle, parents stealing from their own son to fund a wedding, made it irresistible to reporters. The story went viral locally. My parents' neighbors, coworkers, and social circle all learned what they had done. The shame was immediate and intense. Amanda's reaction was predictable. She called me screaming, claiming I was destroying the family and ruining everyone's lives over material possessions. She couldn't understand why I had involved lawyers and police instead of handling it privately. I reminded her that they had handled it privately by stealing my property and lying about it. I had attempted private resolution for months. They had shown me that private resolution meant accepting their theft and lies. She started crying, saying the legal troubles were causing her marriage stress. Tyler was embarrassed by the media coverage, and his coworkers were asking questions. She needed me to drop the charges so they could move on. I told her she should have considered consequences before spending stolen money on her wedding. The call ended with her screaming that she hated me and I would never be family to her again. My parents' lawyer contacted mine, seeking a deal. They would plead guilty to reduce charges and pay full restitution if I agreed not to pursue the maximum penalties. I agreed, not out of sympathy, but because I wanted my car back more than I wanted them in prison. The restitution included not just the car's $32,000 value, but also storage costs, legal fees, and damages for the fraud. The total amounted to nearly $45,000. My parents had to take out a second mortgage on their house to pay it. But here's the wonderful part. I didn't want the money. I wanted my car. Robert had grown fond of it and offered to sell it back to me for exactly what he had paid, plus his minor investment in maintenance. We arranged a deal where the restitution money went directly to him, and my Mustang came home. I picked it up last weekend, sitting behind the wheel again, smelling the leather I had restored, hearing the engine I had rebuilt, feeling the steering wheel I had refinished. It was like being reunited with a piece of my soul. The family fallout has been complete. My parents are financially devastated and socially humiliated. They're facing years of debt from the legal costs and restitution. Amanda and Tyler's marriage is strained from the embarrassment and financial pressure. The remaining wedding debt combined with the legal expenses has destroyed any hope of a comfortable newlywed life Amanda expected. Extended family members who initially supported them have distanced themselves. No one wants to be associated with people who steal from their own children. Amanda's social media, once full of wedding photos and married life updates, has gone silent. My uncle Robert, who apologized months ago, called to check on me. "You did the right thing," he said. "Family doesn't steal from family. They needed to face consequences." Several family members have reached out to rebuild relationships with me now, understanding they were manipulated by my parents' lies. I'm open to it, but cautiously. Trust, once broken this completely, takes time to rebuild. My parents sent a letter through their lawyer, not an apology, but a statement that they acted in what they believed were the family's best interests and regret that the situation escalated to legal action. Even facing the consequences of their choices, they can't admit they were wrong. Amanda hasn't contacted me since the screaming phone call. I heard through a family member that she and Tyler are discussing moving away to start fresh somewhere without the social stigma. She's apparently still telling people that I destroyed the family over material possessions. I'm at peace with being the villain in her story. People who steal don't get to write the narrative about justice. My life now is everything theirs isn't: honest, peaceful, and built on genuine relationships. I'm still with the woman I mentioned dating, and she was there when I brought my car home. She understands that it represents more than transportation. It's proof that some things can be restored, that justice sometimes prevails, and that standing up for yourself is worth the cost. I drive that Mustang every weekend now, just like I used to. Sometimes I take it to car shows where people admire the restoration work and inquire about its history. I tell them it's a car that came back home, and that's all they need to know. My grandfather would be proud, not just of the car, but of the man who fought to keep his memory alive. To summarize, I found my stolen car at a show, discover my parents lied to the buyer about why they were selling it, and legal action resulted in criminal charges, full restitution, and getting my car back. Family relationships are permanently damaged, but justice was served. My car is home, and I'm finally at peace. Edit. To everyone asking about the legal details, yes, my lawyer confirmed that parents cannot legally sell their adult child's property without permission, even if it's stored at their house. The fraudulent bill of sale, where they lied about the circumstances, made things much worse legally. For those saying I should have just let it go, theft is theft, regardless of who commits it.